Brad, you wanted to see more competitiveness in practice this week. How did it look?
Yeah, I think that's something to ask the players, right? So we come up with a training program, and we want the players to execute, right? So the players have taken a personal step this week to step it up, and they've showed great response. And obviously this week we wanted to correct a few things, and it had nothing to do with tactics. So for us, I thought we took steps in the right direction, and then today a little bit of a tactical approach as well as tomorrow, and some set pieces. And yeah, I think we've prepared and planned well for the week.
With teams being more inclined to sit back, is it more important for you guys to score first in games?
No, I think we would like to play and win the race to the first goal. I think every team, if you tell them, do you want to score first or do you want to score second? I think we'd all agree we want to score first. And I think the way we play, for sure, But yeah, we know Dallas is a good soccer playing team. We know they have their principles with the ball, and we have ours with and against the ball as well. So not to say there aren't or are spaces to be exploited. So yeah, we've had some good insight from a couple of our guys that have played there. We've had some good insight from the coaching staff, So yeah, we feel we have a good match plan to approach the game on the weekend.
Bradley, after the last game, you talk a little bit about lack of creativity in the final third. And I know there are many ways to look at it, but does the way the team played in the last 30 minutes give you a good idea of what the team can do to be more creative?
Well, I think it's good to pose questions of yourself when it doesn't go your way, right? But if you look at the goals for column, I think we're still number one in the league, right? If I'm not mistaken. So we've scored the most amount of goals. So saying we're trying to get more creative, we're just trying to do what we'd like to do. And it's always just constant reminders, right? So in the way we approach it, the guys who came on and impacted the game, we have to get the team to a certain point to then create, against a tired back line maybe, or, against a certain opponent or against a certain, opposition teammate or team member. You need to have a game plan. And I thought the guys that came in really impacted the game in a big way. And good to see them get rewarded, because nobody works harder than those guys that don't really get their names in the paper, right, or get mentioned. So it's good to see them coming to life a little bit.
So speaking of the guys that came in and impacted the game, can you talk about Celio's progression and what he can bring to the team?
Yes, Celio is very versatile. We've used him in a back five as a wing back. We've used him as a striker. We can play him in a 10. We've always been a team to sort of pride ourselves on being all-rounders, good teammates and all-rounders. And I think Celio is, the perfect example of that. He keeps his teammates honest. He plays with a smile, and he plays like he's just having fun. So, yeah, Celio's come a long way. And we're happy to have Celio in our group, right? He pushes us. He pushes us all the time. And, we're just trying to find ways to incorporate these guys. And with league games and Open Cup games and Leagues Cup that's on the approach now, we're just trying to get guys, enough minutes, not just training loads. We're trying to get them prepared for these, next couple of months here.
Velasco may not play, but Dallas has a very threatening front three usually. So how do you look to defend against a talented group with national team experience currently in some of those channels that they're successful in?
Yeah, listen, Areola, Leggett, Ferreira, Jesus, they're technical guys, right? So technical guys like time and space, and that's one of the things we have to try and take away, is be brave to defend forwards in our principles, 2 versus 1 mentalities, and making sure that we're getting pressure from all sides of the ball. So yeah, it's a collective effort. We've never said it's just one guy to solve one problem, and we operate together. And we're at our best when we show this togetherness, and with and without the ball, we have to be connected at all times.
And then you mentioned Dallas is very adept on the ball. So what are some ways that you look to force them to be uncomfortable using some of the principles that you have?
Yeah, listen, if Dallas want to get organized and, play in transition and, get back behind the ball quickly. So if we can move the ball vertically, stay true and direct to our approach. And, we want to make sure we don't play an expansive possession game anyways, and every team knows that. So, we just need to be brave in the spaces that we're given. And I thought some of the guys that came in the other night, I thought some of our play generally this season has been excellent, right? So just in front of the midfield or stretching the lines in behind. We've had some good movement with Rasmus Alm in behind. So we have different options to beat different opponents, and we'll go back to our toolbox and pull out the right one for this opponent.
Bradley, March was very great for this team, and then April you only earned 3 points. What's the message you are telling the team to get out of the skid starting in May?
Yeah, listen, I don't know to get out of a skid. If you look at the 10-game sequence, where everyone thought we would be, and if you reflect back and look at 10 games in, which is almost a third of a season, and you are where you are in the standings, I don't know if we can speak about a skid. We already have 6 wins, and people didn't think we would get past 3 or 4. So we're here where we are, and we've created this beast ourselves, and we have to now manage that. We have to enjoy that sort of confidence about the group. We have to get over it ourselves, because we're the only ones here on the training field, and we're the only ones who know internally behind those 4 walls what we want to achieve and where we want to take this journey, right? So it needs a collective effort, and we know the power of sticking together and the power of working together and the power of training together in the right ways, in our principles. We can see what's achievable, right? So, and now it's just a small reset, but to speak about, any massive problems would be very premature, in my opinion.
Tom, before you go, we're going to go to Justin.
Okay.
Go ahead, Justin.
Hey, Coach. I wanted to ask an update on some of the injuries that have been going around. Obviously, Klaus is a bit more day-to-day, but with Blom and Nielsen kind of coming closer to getting back on the field, is there an update to their timeline at all?
Yeah, Blom's really close. He's questionable for the weekend. Rasmus Alm is also questionable for the weekend. Nielsen's coming along great. I mean, he's on the ball now. He's doing a couple of things. He's been working hard on and off the field, and it's great to see him progressing technically as well. Getting comfortable of the ball again. So, I would say Klaus is also day by day. It's getting close for these guys, and we're getting the numbers back just at the right time, because we know where the schedule's taking us over the next couple of months. So it's good to have good competition. It's good to have great players all on board, and it's nice as a coach now to plan accordingly. So we're excited to get everyone back.
So when you say Blom is questionable, does that mean there's a chance for Saturday?
There is a chance, So he's just polishing up, brushing up a few final things, and we'll revert back to Tyler Harris from the medical department just to make sure. It's all about load management, right? And how many minutes we can go, and does it make sense to get him on a trip to have no appearance, or does it get him on the trip to have some appearance? So, what's more beneficial, staying here and getting the treatment he needs, or if he feels that ready to go to get some minutes or substantial minutes, or building him up for the weeks that come ahead. So, he's very close.
Being more competitive, and you had the issue with duels. Does that, being more competitive, does that play into shots as well? Because to get more scoring chances, more shots?
No, I thought we played too safe in the last game, right? So, normally we want to end with final plays and get shots on frame, and I just thought we overthought it just a little bit, So even if an opponent's lying deeper, there are ways to manipulate space and to manipulate chancing and shot creativity. So, for us, it's about being a little bit more direct, getting to the solution a lot quicker, rather than trying to create the next solution and creating a problem while you're trying to create the next best solution, right? So just the first thought is often the best one, and your instinct usually is right, and we want to finish your final plays a little bit more quicker.
We'll wrap up with 2 more. We'll go with Matt Baker and then wrap up with Phil.
A couple weeks ago, before your last U.S. Open Cup match, we talked about Caden Glover and Owen O'Malley. You mentioned the progression of them, and we saw them on the training field today. So is that a sign that they're progressing as you would hope? And what is your plan kind of for them going into these next 3 matches?
You can see I'm telling you the truth, right? So we said we want to see those guys in training, and we've seen through City 2 minutes now. Caden's fully fit and healthy. He's being a difference maker in City 2, leading the line there. And Owen O'Malley had a really strong performance for City 2 in the last game against Vancouver. So, we looked like that was the guy we wanted to sign coming out of college, and that's the guy he is. And he's a good guy, and we're trying to bring him along in the right ways. Those guys have shown great responses and have almost been rewarded by training with us this week. So where that goes and how it takes us depends on our numbers and situation over the next couple of weeks. But those guys are training in the right way.
It's unfortunate that Adeniran's loan and Klaus's injury kind of happened at the same time. I imagine, considering their style of play, that you've had to make adjustments, and I'm just kind of curious how that's played out in the last 2 games.
Well, we've got our ninth different goal scorer, so which is incredible after 10 games. You know what I mean? So we've always been brave to change lineups. We've always been brave to play a hot hand. We've always been brave to play guys who try and empty the tank every single day. So, and we reward those people, right? So Sam just needed to get more minutes, and he needed to go and get those minutes, regularly. So, we'll observe that from a distant, sort of obviously from a distance, just to see how that progresses and moves along. But yeah, we know we'll get Sam back at some point. But right now we're working with a group that we feel is adept and confident and comfortable to empty the tank week in and week out. And we've seen good progressions. I mean, like we just spoke about it. Celio, amazing. Thomas Ostrak finding his form at the right time. So yeah, I think we're pretty optimistic about the next couple of games.
Coach, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, John. All right, thank you.
Hi, Niko.
Hello.
Hi. The last game, Brad said you did a large amount of running in that game all over the field. You ended up with no shots on goal. How frustrating was last Saturday for you as a striker?
Yeah, naturally frustrating because obviously not scoring one is tough, and not getting any shots is probably worse in the mind. But you encounter games like that. It happens. Prior to Cincinnati, it was a similar circumstance. We didn't score any goals two prior games. Came into Cincinnati and put 5 in. So, it just happens. Sometimes it's just more difficult under certain circumstances, certain teams, to get shots off and create opportunities. But as I say, it happens. So next game Saturday.
What was the biggest problem, as you saw it, for not being able to get a shot off?
Well, that's a good question, because many factors come in to create opportunities. It's not just one player or two players. It's a group effort, and I felt like we were too laissez-faire about our attitude going forward. We were too light. We weren't determined enough. Determination was lacking, and that has a lot to do with getting into the final third and creating chances. Is how badly do you want it, And I felt like personally I maybe didn't want it enough. Obviously I do want it, but I'm always a hard critic on myself. So maybe I didn't want it enough, and I'm gonna make sure that this game is a completely different mindset and a completely different standout.
How did you feel about the competitive level in practice this week?
Oh, it was up. I was happy. I'm proud of the group. Really am. Completely different than last week. We had a couple scuffles, a couple pushes, a couple, some yelling at each other, which is naturally very important for the game. Keep everyone on their toes and the adrenaline rushing. So it was good. I was very happy with everyone, yeah.
Regardless of the specific formation, how do you feel you've adjusted and continue to adjust, and what do you have to work on without Klaus up next to you?
Yeah, so it's always about adapting. Obviously I know he's not going to be here this weekend, but I still have Thomas Ostrak, Celio. I got my 10s with me, so it's something where I got Stroud. It's something where I know these guys. We've been training together for over 2 months now, and almost 3 months now, and I've played with them week in, week out. So it's not like I've started a completely different team. I just joined them, and now I have to adapt to everyone around me and see what's going to happen. I know what their attributes are. I know what their characteristics are. I know what they like. I know what they don't like. So getting to play with each other is not going to be something. It's not going to be a surprise to any of us. Just got to find each other and be smart about it.
So do you feel there's anything about your game in particular that you need to, I don't want to say change, but really kind of, you mentioned playing off of the other players as opposed to, do you feel that they have the same mindset playing off of what you're strongest with?
Yes. If I had to critique my game for the weekend and for the future, it would probably be being more selfish, actually. I feel like as a 9, you have that, I wouldn't say pressure, but you have that responsibility of scoring goals and creating chances. And that's something where you need to be selfish under certain circumstances. but I've always been a naturally attracted to team play. So it's kind of a counter mindset that I have, but I think that being more selfish up top is going to create more chances for everyone else. It's hard to believe it, but it'll be easier to see it.
After the start, after the 5-0 start, and you guys go 1-3-1 in April, and I think there's some feeling within the league, okay, they finally reverted to being an expansion team, what we were expected. How do you react to something like that?
Everyone loses games. Everyone has games where they're not as good as the previous one, and has games where they're better than the last 5. So, at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's part of learning. It's life, I don't want to, bring this up again because I know a lot of people have brought it up already, but Giannis in the NBA brought up it was a perfect answer. And I'm not going to repeat it, but it's the same, Is it considered a failure now? Are we a failure because we've lost the 3 games and 2 were at home, and no, it's just part of you can't progress and you can't get better if you don't fail. So, we failed 3 games, and we're making sure that's not going to happen again. We're a team like every other team. We got 18 guys in a roster, 20 guys in a roster, 11 on the field each time, and the winner comes out the winner, and we're going to do everything we can to be the best. And there's no reason why we can't be. Being the best is everyone's goal. It's definitely mine.
Did you give the shoes back?
My boots.
Your boots? Yes.
No. I got new ones now, so I'll definitely have new ones for this game.
Do you normally wear a size 13?
No, but those are very different. They're very different, very comfortable. If you can ever get your hands on one, definitely try them. They're very comfortable.
Were they like sitting at your locker there in the
Yeah,
changing room?
it's tough to wear them after the game since we lost, but I'm a man. It is what it is. I have to stick with what I do, so it wasn't a problem re-wearing them.
I just think it must have been quite the sight in the changing room if you're.
Yeah, I hope it wasn't a distraction, but
Yeah.
no, it was in the back of my locker. It wasn't our focus at all.
Got time for 1 or 2 more if anyone's out there.
You said laissez-faire, and so it made me kind of wonder any experience in France as far as Caen or Montpellier, like what kind of long, it's a long season, long runs, a few wins and a few losses here and there, lots of minutes, not a lot of minutes, lots of success. Anything that comes to mind in your time there?
I bring up often the competitive part of the sport. I feel like in Europe, the circumstances and the final endings of seasons are very stressful because there's relegation, there's promotion. So, at the end of the day, if you lose too many games, the next season you're not where you want to be. And that creates that competitive mindset of, losing a game is hard. It's a moment where, the stakes are a lot higher. But, getting back to the laissez-faire mindset, it's something where if no one knows what it means to be too, relaxed and easygoing about it. And it's something where in the game of football or soccer, it doesn't fly any day. You're going to encounter teams like we did Portland where if you're too laid back, you're going to get ran into, you're going to get bumped into, you're going to get goals scored on, you're not going to perform as you want to. So to have that combative, relentless, ruthless, crazy almost mindset of, I want to win and that's the only solution I had. The same thing happened in Colorado, which was the tie. I think I would have really wanted to come out of that game with a win. They had many more chances than we do, but it's one of those games where you gotta grit your teeth and get through it, and give your life on the pitch, because 3 points is some away especially is something that is one of the best feelings you can get. So yeah.
Wrap up with Luis.
You mentioned knowing your teammates, what they are good at and also what they're not good at by training for a long time. Are expansion teams, in your mind, a good way to actually create that strong chemistry as a team?
Yes, they should. I think every team should. Us even more because everyone's coming together on equal grounds. So, the team hasn't been made as soon as you get there, and to work your way through it and to, learn who is who likes what is really really important. Obviously, you need to know the players on your team, what their preferred foot is. What their preferred body angle is. These are small details that make a big difference. And I think it's something that many players need to get in their minds, Play him on the front foot. He likes to make a run, so play him forward instead of into feet. It's certain things that you learn over time, which really make the big difference that people don't tend to see as spectators. But it's mandatory. Yeah.
Niko, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
John, what are the challenges of playing against teams that sit back, which seems like where you may see more of teams doing now?
Yeah, I think teams kind of figured out, if they sit back, that they can probably get a result against us. I think Bradley stressed it this week. Teams are probably going to start doing that, So I think last week there was a few things off with our press, honestly, and that was kind of the the downfall of that game. So this week, like we said, it was super intense. We got back to some of the basics with our press. So honestly, I think we're gonna show that in Dallas.
So, I mean, is it nothing major? Just simple things within the principles to apply to?
No, nothing major for sure. And like Bradley said, some things weren't even with the basics or principles. It was just being more physical, more aggressive. And I think we'll definitely show that in Dallas.
And just memories of your time in Dallas.
Yeah, yeah.
What stands out from your time?
No, I mean, Dallas was a great experience. I got drafted there. Learned a lot. Guys now that are honestly, I think one of the best outside backs in the league is Ryan Hollingshead. So he was my guy every day. I was competing with him, learning a lot from him. And then even one of the assistant coaches there, Peter Lucine, who I learned a lot from. So it's going to be really, really cool to see him. And then some of the guys like Paxton Pomykal, Edwin Cirillo. So it'll be a weird feeling, honestly, stepping onto that field in that stadium in a different jersey. But I'm super excited.
So on the familiarity with Dallas, obviously they play a little bit stylistically different than when you were with them. But is there any tips or tricks you've been able to provide the staff or the other players on what to watch out for that you saw when you were there?
Yeah, no, they're a team that likes to have the ball. They want to be on the ball. They like to play underneath. They want to slow the game down. And I think that is our advantage because they're going to try and play that game. And I think, we saw at Cincinnati, they tried to play out of the back, and we just pressed them really well, and that's how we forced the turnovers, and that obviously leads to our goals. So, no, I honestly think it works out in our favor.
Is there anything you're looking forward to as far as pressing up or falling back with a creative attack that they have that can be so dangerous?
Yeah, I think if we go all the way and, press all the way, I think it's a really good opportunity for us. Like Brad was saying, we don't want guys like Ferreira, Ariola, and Sebastian Lletget. We don't want them on the ball. We don't want them having space. And we did a good job this week with really getting into each other, pressing, going all the way.
John, you just talked about Jesus Ferreira, but can you talk a little bit more about Dallas's front three and how to defend them?
Yeah. I think, Jesus is having a really good year again. He's a guy that we can't give any space, especially when crosses are coming in. Jesus is going to be a guy that's lingering in the box, and he's a fox in the box. He's a guy that you give him any space, he'll hit it one time, and, that's how he gets his goals. And obviously with Paul and with Lletget on the other side, they're hard workers. They're up and down. They're good on the ball too. And like I was saying, get in their face, don't give them any space. Maybe foul them a bit. Get them off their game, which is honestly what me and the other outside back is gonna have to do.
Against Portland, Moreno and Mosquera, Mosquera plays a similar role to you, and so I was just kind of curious. They've been getting a lot of plaudits throughout the league this season, and so I was just curious what you thought about what it was like to play against them in that game.
They were very good. We knew going into that game because obviously we played them earlier in the season. Mosquera, I think he's underrated. He's good on the ball. He's good in the attack. He's obviously very fast, physical. And Marino, he's very good on the ball, dribbling. I thought for the most part we did well, but then we just gave him, only a few glimpses, and you saw in the goals. You give good players like that 2 or 3 chances, they can put them away. But for the most part, we did fine with them. But like I said, you give them 2 or 3 chances, and they can punish you.
Is it easy for the competitiveness in practice, like you've had this week, to carry over into the game? Obviously,
Yeah.
they're distinct
For sure.
entities.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like Niko was saying last week, I don't think it was as intense as this week. You know, Brad did a good job saying before this week started, you know, we need to be more intense. You know, not even the principles, just more aggressive, more intense. And this week, you know, guys were getting into it. You know, that's natural. That's good. You know, it's because we care. There were challenges. You know, it was chippiness. It was really good to see, and it will for sure translate into Saturday.
Do you see anything in these last 5 games after the first 5 that the second 5 were different in any way? Obviously, the results were different.
Yeah, you know, I think the first 5 games, we were the new guys on the block. We wanted to prove something. You know, I think everyone was saying this team's only going to win a few games. And honestly, I think everyone took that to heart. And, you know, we showed that the first 5 games that, hey, we're here to play. We can be a powerhouse. We can play with any team in this league. You know, every team kind of goes through, you know, maybe a little drought. You know, the past 5 games haven't really gone our way. But every team, every player, you know, they're not going to be perfect every game. So, you know, I think it's a really good chance to rebound against Dallas, who's a good team.
Is there anything you see in your defensive shape especially when you're in transition back? Against Portland, it seemed like some of the channels were vulnerable at times. So what do you see as things that you learned from Portland that you're going to carry forward to maybe correct against Dallas?
Yeah, what we saw in video, there's just too much space all over the field, especially in the channels. You know, like what we call it and what we like to do is forward defending. I think that's something we've been doing good all season besides last game, and it's simple. You know, we saw it in the clips of the game last week. We saw it this week, and it's just forward defending. You know, not giving them too much space, being brave, going out there defending 1v1 in the space. And I thought we did a really good job of it this week.
Anybody else? Johnny, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Justin, thank you for joining us online. Appreciate it.